Hello folks, Ram Ramji. Welcome to Reality Check with Arvind Swaminathan. Yours truly. Something happened which triggered something off in my mind. You know, Rahul Gandhi had gone to Raebareli and somebody asked him to comment about what's happening in Kolkata, in West Bengal. And his immediate reaction was, don't distract me. I'm here for something else. That triggered something off in my mind. The diversionary tactics which politicians all over the world have been using. When you want to take people's mind off something, you do something here so that you can concentrate on this. And people will not question you. Remember the previous two videos I'd done on which do you prefer? American slavery or Islamic slavery? There is a third and a fourth. The fourth is freedom. Do we want to be able to operate as a free, independent country? Which would, to my mind, be the best choice. But the third alternative, which seems to be in the offing, is slavery of and by the Rothschilds. It's not a joke, it's not funny. They have already taken over the US. Why? They own the controlling interest in the US Federal Reserve Bank. I've explained that in videos, about a couple of years, 2-3 years ago. Maybe if you like, I'll do another one on it. But right now, what is their aim? You remember last year, 3 things came out almost one on top of the other. The BBC documentary on Godhra 2002, Hindenburg report, first one, and the third one was the rather disturbing news that Victoria Nuland, aka the regime change expert, has been in talks with Mr. Stalin in Chennai and Rahul Gandhi in Delhi. We're now beginning to see the results of all that. Recently somebody sent me a video where people have acknowledged that look, what's happened in Pakistan, what's happened in Sri Lanka, and what's happening in Bangladesh right now, all as a result of a visit by one Mr. Donald Lu. Now, what is his connect? Now, he looks after Asia operations in the same department as Victoria Nuland, who looks after Eastern Europe. Now, Donald Lu had gone to Bangladesh and demanded, not asked, for St. Martin's Island for a base for the US. And Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister, had said, thank you very much, but no thank you. And the threat was, if you don't agree, we'll topple you. And they did. Which means it's not just the CIA that's involved, the State Department is involved, the Foreign Affairs Office is involved, the Defense Office or Defense Department is involved, as is the President himself. And the Americans are the only country who've been doing this. The first one they admitted to was in 1953, an elected Prime Minister, Mr. Mossadegh. And they've been doing it ever since, with impunity. Why? Who's behind them? You scratch the surface, you go back to the bankers. You know who. Now, what has been happening in India? Notice, I've said this before, let me just refresh your memories. Nehru started off dividing India first on Hindus and Muslims, India, Pakistan, and now Bangladesh as well. Then he divided India again on language. As if that isn't bad enough, Indira Gandhi brought in Muslim Personal Law Board. Now we're getting even further, even worse off. Because the latest in that family, Rahul Gandhi, is talking about and sort of emphasizing a caste census, which means dividing Hindus only. Most of the Hindus, most of the sub-caste or the lower caste are either Dalits, tribals, SC, ST or OBC. And these are the ones he's trying to divide. Through the Waqf Act 1995, they've been extorting money from those who have money by the Waqf Board, and those who don't have money, like tribals and OBC and SC and ST, they're saying, well, there is a way you can stay where you are. Convert to Islam. You see the thrust. Islamic slavery. Always in the background. There have been attempts made, usually failed because they've been nipped in the bud. American domination. Nehru was among the worst. Years ago in sort of late 50s, somebody asked him, well, supposing you have a drought or something, where are your food reserves? His answer stunned everybody. He said, Kansas. And that's where he went when there were 2 years of drought. That's where we had to go. And your PL 480 and so on. You see, there's been no real thinking, no real planning. Because 80% of our population, they know nothing about. Now, having divided India and all these things, now even the same language is being divided into two, like Telangana and Andhra. And to quite an extent, Bihar and Jharkhand. As if this isn't bad enough. Now we're talking about something even more sinister. Before the division of states based on language, what was then Madras Presidency or Madras State consisted of Kerala, Karnataka, today's Tamil Nadu, Andhra and Telangana. This, in case you've forgotten, is where the East India Company first got a stranglehold before they took on Calcutta, or Kolkata as they want to call it today. Now then, in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, the BJP in the last general election, out of something like 55 seats, they only won one. Very few in Telangana, but a few they retained in Karnataka. But the result is 60 to 70% of seats are in opposition hands. You remember Victoria Nuland talking to M.K. Stalin, Chief Minister of Chennai, or Madras, or Tamil Nadu. Wonder what did they discuss? You remember, I entitled that video around first few days of February 2023, that's last year. I said there would be more such attacks. Yes, That was the first salvo. And it was entitled Operation Take Over India. That's where it seriously took off. Now, let's go on from there. The India Alliance is literally breaking India up into local or localized areas so that it can never be one unit. And you know, it's easier to take over bits and pieces. Just like the East India Company 250 years ago. They took bits of India here, there and everywhere, and then the whole place. How did they do it? They managed to get permission to have their own army, which is a good, well-drilled, well-trained one. Now we get one Maharaja saying, look, beat up this guy for me. They did. This guy took over. Okay, now beat up this guy. They did. 4 or 5 of these kingdoms they took over. And then they throw this guy out and say, we don't need you, we take over. Which is exactly what they're trying to do now. The southern states, Stalin. Central or northern, Rahul Gandhi. Eastern, Mamata Banerjee. Their hope, Maharashtra, Pawars and Uddhav Thackeray and such people. You see, remember one thing. Who set up the Congress Party and why? It was set up by an Englishman, A.O. Hume. Not because he had a soft spot for India or the people of India. Not because his heart bled for India, because, oh, these poor guys, they need somewhere where they can say something and do something. No. It was meant to gather information at such a level, being spread out into every village almost, to ensure that an 1857 type uprising never occurred again. You remember what I said in my earlier videos, that Nehru never considered India to be an independent country. It was always a British colony first. The British had been driven away, and it was now Nehru's colony for his family to exploit, which is what they've been doing ever since. So, from British slavery, it became Nehru slavery. And slowly but steadily, since then, the Muslim influence has been getting stronger and stronger. Now Rahul Gandhi comes out with this caste-based census. Caste of every man, subcaste, sub-subcaste, sub-sub-subcaste. Why? There is a glaring example of this. It happened not very long ago, a place called Lebanon. It was basically a Christian majority state, or call it a state or nation or whatever. And then somebody got this bright idea, no, you must have rights according to the population of each group. So one set of Muslims started calling in Palestinians to boost their numbers. They get more of the slice. The others called in somebody from Iran, with different Muslim sect. Now this continued until there was absolute stalemate. Nothing could ever be done, no bill could be passed. Why? The moment it helped Christians, somebody Muslim, no, that helps Christian. No, that helps that Muslim sect. No, that helps that Muslim sect. Therefore, nothing could be done. Now, why do you want such a state in this country? What happened to merit? I know Rahul Gandhi doesn't have any merit for anything. Does that mean he's got to fill the whole administration, every part of government and industry with people who are there because of caste? And people who have no idea what needs to be done. Is this the kind of country we need? I don't think so. Because that is dragging us back 50, 60 years. The sort of state we were in 10 years after independence. Do we want to get back to that? No. Why does he want us to get back to the state when all people with intelligence and training and education end up in the US or in Western Europe? That's not independence. That's all of them using us as their supply base, meaning raw material base, which means colonialism all over again. Except it's not just the British colony, it's a European and American colony. Now, why, for instance, did I mention this almost a new world order? You see, the Americans were taken over beginning in 1913, when the Federal Reserve came into being. Who took it over? The ones who had the controlling interest in that bank, the Rothschilds. The way they planned it, they took over the entire radio network, the television networks, the newspapers, the periodicals, the magazines, you name it. And through them, they've taken over Hollywood and all the publishing houses. Only what they want published as news is published as news. And it is all channeled in such a way that everyone starts thinking the way they want you to think. You remember the old saying of a dictator? When I want you to think, I'll tell you what to think. And that's what's happening. Now, why do we want that here? You see, it's that word diversion, or distraction rather, which made me begin to finally understand that, look, Rahul Gandhi is putting on an act, making everybody believe he's a pappu, while he's doing all sorts of stupid things which he should not be doing. He's selling India down the river all over again. He signed this MOU with the Chinese Communist Party on behalf of the Indian National Congress Party, something we know nothing about even to this day. 16 years have gone by and we still don't know. Why? Is it so damaging to him that he dare not let it out? No wonder he's been so pro-Chinese when all these border incidents in northern India came out or came into being. Now, why is he like this? Doesn't he care about India? Well, obviously he doesn't. You see, he said he has no house in India. Why? If he is a politician, he is a citizen of India, and he has all this money, why does he have no house in India? But he has at least 2 addresses in London. One of them is where Backups' company was registered, and the other one was a pretty elite house. Where? In Hampstead. According to what Dr. Subramanian Swamy sent out, the address is given on that, 2 Frognall Way. Who lives in the house next door? Very few people know this. Even people who've been there don't know this. Because they all know it as a place called Sun House. They don't know the address 3 Frognall Way, the house next door to Rahul Gandhi's. It is the house of the official residence of India's Deputy High Commissioner in London. I wonder why. What sort of secrets does he wheedle out of the Deputy High Commissioner? Things which he is not supposed to know. And this is where his links with Sanjay Bhandari comes in. You see, all these things to divide India into little pieces and to go back to the old commission Raj, things we don't really need. The administration is full of those old Congressites. Why? Because they're fed up with Mr. Modi. He won't accept bribes and he won't let them take bribes either. Bribery has become almost part of our DNA. That's what 60 odd years of Congress Raj has done. And Modi is trying to draw it out. People get fed up. Anywhere they go, they must put in that bribe money. People have now begun to breathe a little sigh of relief, but those guys want it back. Why? Congress can't find any other way of making money. Now all these scams you come across, they 10 a penny. Where are most of them based? You know, we keep wondering, why does West Bengal have no industry? They don't allow industry to come in. One who tried to come in, got ready to begin, and was told to leave. The Tatars. Why? It seems more than 90% of the scams worldwide are based in Calcutta or Kolkata. Now when you've got this huge amount of money coming in, you're talking about 3 or 4,000 crores, is it, per day? That's the sort of turnover. Why do you need industry? And then they talk about no employment opportunities. Why would they need it? But the trouble is, you see, with these scamsters going haywire all over the place, or running rampant, there is a very strong undercurrent that it is run under the auspices of many parts of the West Bengal government. There is that very strong undercurrent, or call it a rumor if you like, but a very strong one. So you see, they don't need industry. They've got all this money coming in. And any number of Bangladeshis can come in whenever they feel like. Because Mamata Banerjee and the TMC government have ensured that that border remains very porous. Millions of them come in. Now, once you've got all this together, it makes a very, very nasty state of affairs, very undesirable state of affairs. Why? Because the very thing we came out of in 1947 is exactly what we're going back into. Because the present Congress and the India Alliance is very strong on this theory of divide and rule. The Tukde gang is highly active. And each one is based on region. None of them have India in their hearts. They only have their own little areas. Little frogs in their own little ponds. They don't have a vision of India. And they don't want India. Because in India, they're very minor players. But they want power, they want money, everything, which they cannot get in a country called India. You see? So, now let's get back to Hindenburg. I mean, his initial strike on Adani's was aimed at the LIC and the State Bank of India. Of course, fortunately, it didn't succeed because they were well within all SEBI norms. They didn't go beyond anything. They survived. But why State Bank of India and why LIC? Well, life insurance and banking go together. State Bank of India is the biggest network of banks and branches all over India, whether it's in small town, rural, semi-urban areas, villages, you name it, they're there. Anybody who could get control of the State Bank of India has India at their mercy. Let's not forget that. But aiming at Adani, why? Adanis are into core industries, ports, airports, power generation, hydrogen power. All these are core industries. You grab hold of those and the whole of India comes to a standstill. Now, there is one company, US based, which made a lot of money on that. They bought into Adani Enterprises, 13,500 crore rupees. In 3 days, they make a profit of 5,000 crore rupees. This is last year. Hindenburg too, this year, trying to destroy SEBI itself by casting aspersions on the top officers of SEBI. Adani starts exiting one or two other sectors. Who buys it? GQG again, 2,800 crores worth. Who is GQG? George Soros, Rothschilds. Now Rothschilds are already in India in a biggish way. They bought over, or BP Oil brought over KG Basin from Ambani's. They have a 75 square kilometer concession in diamond mining in the Panna region. Why? When nobody else has more than 25 square kilometers, how do they get 75 square kilometers? And then Amartya Sen and Nalanda University. 2,700 crores wasted there. Now you're wondering, let me just reiterate. It's not just Amartya Sen, but who is his wife? His wife is the former Emma Georgina Rothschild. You understand the connection? George Soros, Open Society Foundation. Two people on their advisory panel, Amartya Sen, Emma Georgina Rothschild. You see, always that Rothschild brand pulling the strings from behind the scenes, which is normal Rothschild policy. Their name seldom appears in the front. They're always behind the scenes. Now, do we want Rothschild slavery? Because remember, it's the same people who brought the East India Company here. Only this time, if they do grab our financial system by the throat, they won't let go. There will be no return to freedom from then on. We will remain a colony. You see, under the Nehru and Indira Gandhi regimes, we were already becoming a colony for Western Europe and the US to provide raw material in the form of the brain drain. I know they hate Mr. Modi because he has reversed it. Now they're scratching their head, where do we find replacements? And until they start growing their own, they're going to keep dragging them out from here. And they're hoping to put up their own puppet government here. And who is that? The original Mir Jafar of today. Rahul Gandhi himself. So this is the second coming, or Rothschild 2.0, or the East India Company 2.0, or the second coming. Recolonization of a former colony. Now, you may think it's a joke, but it isn't. Trust me on that one. I've been tracking this for just over 50 years. It took a long time to figure out who was the one pulling the strings. And the key to that was who had controlling interest in the US's Federal Reserve Bank. Once I knew that, the last piece in the jigsaw clicked into place. The jigsaw was complete. So this is the first. Remember the Tukre gang? Division of India, first on Hindu Muslims, then language, then a sort of subcaste when the same language into two different states, then regionalization of everything, and now a caste census to divide Hindus even further. The old divide and rule is coming back. Don't let it. As I said before, the choice is yours. If you don't wake up, it's going to happen. You have to do something about it to stop it happening. You can't be bothered? Okay, that's your problem. I won't be around for much longer because I'm already in almost my mid-80s. I spend a lot of time, effort and trouble tracking all this. You still don't want to listen? Again, as I said, the choice is yours. Ciao.